All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down round 3 here of the Players Championship, giving you all my favorite bets here for round 3 here, head-to-head bets, prop bets, and 3-ball bets. We're also going to be breaking down the Showdown slate. It's going to be a fun slate to break down. We got a pretty clear weather edge that we'll go ahead and discuss. But first, a quick recap of the cut sweat. So just sorting by the ownership here, we did have Ludwig, who I mentioned on the 9-to-5 write-up. I was not going to get to him that much. I was definitely underweight on the field. You look at his staff hit, he was a pretty bad staff hit, ranked 88th in the field. So not exactly shocking that he wasn't able to overcome some of those worries in his staff hit game. That's kind of the common theme of some of the players that missed the cut, at least with Hideki. The worry for him was like driving accuracy. Ludwig, it was the worry that he just wasn't a good staff hit. Michael Kim, the worry was that he just had poor course history, had a terrible start at this course last year. We mentioned a bunch of pivots from Michael Kim. The clear-cut obvious one in Alex Smalley, currently top 10. Hopefully you guys were able to make that slight pivot and are benefiting from that right now. Other kind of miscuts, Doug Gim kind of made sense a little bit as priced, but nothing too crazy. I would say this week has basically went as expected, though. You look at this week, and I mentioned this a bunch, we had no players that were checking all the boxes, and we had one good outright bet. So 0 core plays, 1 good outright bet. To me, that on paper is quite clearly going to be a week in which there's a lot of randomness. Now, that being said, you look at the players that are on top of the leaderboard. We have Colin Morikawa going, who's going to be an outright sweat. Tommy Fleetwood there as well. Jake Knapp, who is another pivot you could potentially get to. Alex Smalley, I mentioned Rory, good play, obviously. There's a lot of golfers that could play well, but the interesting thing is for golfers that can win, the weather is going to play a big factor. And so we go ahead and jump into that weather report, guys. It differs with whichever site you look at for Saturday, okay? So the wind is picking up basically right now is what it's saying, and it's supposed to get worse throughout the day tomorrow, so the morning should be the easiest, and I say should. It is about 15 to 18 mile per hour winds there, guys, so that is when we start to see the wind difference start to add up for golfers. So when the wind gets over 15 mile per hour winds, that's when we start to see golfers that you might want to target as wind specialists really start to stack up in terms of like we want to prioritize them. Now there are like 30 mile per hour gusts. I don't like to mention that too much. Like that's unpredictable to like say when we're going to get the gusts. I like to focus on the average mile per hour winds that we're getting. So it is about 15 to 18 mile per hour winds. And so actually what I'm going to be doing, guys, for Showdown purposes, and what we'll start with Showdown here is I'm going to be using the 9-to-5 custom model here as well as the Showdown ranks. And what we can be doing, and we could put an extreme emphasis on the AM PM splits. I'm not exactly sure there's a big enough difference between the AM and PM slate. I could end up being wrong about that. I do think the AM golfers are going to be the ones that benefit the most, but at the same time, the PM golfers are the golfers that are playing the best, so we don't want to completely eliminate those golfers, especially with the wind advantage not being as crazy. There is a difference. I don't want to say that there isn't, and so that's why I'm putting a slight AM advantage, but I'm also factoring in the bad weather golfers as well. So we're looking at the bad weather golfers over the past 5, but also the past 20. I want to get a small sample size in there, maybe golfers that have played better in those situations lately, but I also want to get the full sample as well. So you look at something like Colin Morikawa over his past 5 starts on bad weather courses or events, 20th in the field, but over long term, as you would expect, top 5 there. And then we're just looking at the round 3 Showdown rank. So Colin Morikawa would be 1, Xander Schauffele would be number 3. So what we would do here is we go to this top, we would click this, click more, and we would export this, and then upload into the 9-to-5 lineup builder. And so we can just go ahead and do a quick run without any of those updates, without the custom model, just to show you guys kind of what the data is already naturally telling us is going to be a good lineup to go with. And then we'll show you guys kind of what we'd be looking at as well with the custom model. And so we are naturally going to be getting to Colin Morikawa, Daniel Berger, Sungjae, Robert McIntyre, Siwoo Kim, and Tom Kim. So a lot of those golfers, I don't know if I necessarily love that, but it's not terrible. We also are getting some of Xander. Xander could really go off. I really liked his mentality. He basically said he sucked, like, pretty much. He has this D game going right now, and he's able to make the cut. I mean, that's how good of a golfer he is. His greatness really isn't getting appreciated enough, mostly because it was overshadowed by Scotty's year. But I mean, 59 straight make cuts, insane work by him. Would it be surprising to see him have a good weekend? No. And some of those golfers that do have those early tee times, we do want to be targeting those golfers. So we'll go ahead and jump back into the players tab and upload that CSV file we just downloaded. All right, guys. So when you do the custom model, it might pull in data for golfers that miss the cut slightly. Okay, just as an FYI, but they are going to be filtered out already. When they miss the cut, they're already clicked off, just as an FYI if you guys are looking at that. We're going to click generate just to see what this looks like as well. Again, we are putting an emphasis on bad weather specialists, but also golfers that have an early AMT time. I'm just showing you guys routes as to which you guys can go about attacking. And so the better lineup would then become Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Shane Lowry, Sungjae, Joe Highsmith, who played well in a bad weather event, and Harris English, who is playing well right now as well. We'll look at the player exposure. A lot of Joe Highsmith, we're not going to do that. Obviously, typically speaking, guys, I would do 30% max exposure. Probably going to do a little bit lower than that in this one as well. But wanted to call that out. Some decent spots there, I would say. Don't exactly love the idea of not being on Morikawa and Scotty, so I'm just showing you guys the options you can do there. And so real quickly, let's go ahead and jump into the showdown tab as well, just to get a quick peek at which golfers would actually be the best golf plays. We're going to go ahead and just filter out those golfers that missed the cut here. And so again, we're just going to sort by showdown rank here so you guys can see Xander, Fleetwood, Seb Straka, Kyle Morikawa. So we are still maybe want to get to Seb and still want to get to Kyle Morikawa. Russell Henley's a golfer that we know can go low. Siwoo Kim, I don't mind as well. Daniel Berger popping up in there as well. So some of those golfers that did make the cut in the number, we are going to be targeting those golfers slightly. And then real quickly, I do want to get into a recap of some bets that we are on, guys, for the week. And it's looking pretty decent there for some of the tournament matchup bets that we're on. So JT over Ludwig, obviously that one hit plus 100, good spot there. We also had Ben Griffin beating Doug Gim by 1 stroke. Nick Taylor did lose to Davis Thompson, so that one missed. We are 2 for 3 right now, and the big one here, guys. So Tommy Fleetwood was not favored to win over Colin Morikawa, but given the odds that we're getting, where he's plus 135 on DK at the moment of that bet, he was clearly not being valued properly. And based off of how they're playing right now, this one is a toss-up, and so obviously that was like an EV bet there, even though Colin Morikawa was slightly favored to win. And then yeah, some of the outright bets that we have in contention looking pretty decent. Colin Morikawa, Tommy Fleetwood, and then Seb Straka, and then that Alex Smalley top 20 bet is looking pretty good right now, but don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Just fingers crossed that those end up hitting. And so with that, let's go ahead and get into those head-to-head bets and matchup and 3-ball bets. I guess they're 3-way bets for round 3. So guys, the 3-way bets went 1 for 3 yesterday. Benny Ann being the golfer that ended up hitting, so somewhat of a push there. We did go 3 for 3 with the head-to-head bets, jumping right back on the horse there with the head-to-head bets, so continuing that success. Looking at this one, again, what we're doing here is we're going to sort by edge, and I want a positive edge. That's the one I'm looking at, or at least not a negative edge. And we're going to notice that the board is much more limited than when we do that. So we are looking at Matt Kuchar potentially over Joel Damon. So Joel Damon went out and had a very, very good round 2. He went extremely low. The likelihood of him doing that again is not that much. Another spot that we have is Alex Smalley. So the way I'm looking at this is the data really doesn't think there's going to be a tie. So Kyle Morikawa is going to be the golfer that is favored to win here. But given the odds of him, like where he's only getting, what, a 30% chance, the 9-to-5 data is telling us we're getting a pretty darn good edge there. So again, Morikawa is the one that's favored to win there, but not as much as what Vegas is telling us. So we are getting good odds there. Minwoo Lee as well over Akshay. I actually don't hate that. And let's actually, real quickly, let's take a peek at this. So like what we could do, guys, is just take a peek at the golfers and like the bad weather data as well. So Matt Kuchar slightly favored there. Okay, so we see that. Interesting there. So this is interesting here, guys. So Kyle Morikawa, definitely a better bad weather golfer than Alex Smalley. So that's a bet that I might actually stay away from. That's not currently being factored in there as much as directly as using the 9-to-5 custom model here. So just like a double verification you guys can make if you guys are going through the 3-way bets and maybe want to find another edge there. So let's go ahead and take a peek at another one that we are getting. Minwoo Lee over Akshay. We'll take a peek at that and see if that's a bet that we want to target. And I don't think we're going to get to Taylor Pendrith there, but we could take a peek at it. All right, so Taylor Pendrith over the last 5, not as crazy in terms of bad weather play versus Scotty. And this, okay, maybe, I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but obviously that's why we're getting good odds there. Maybe we do target that. Maybe Taylor Pendrith there at about 3.67. So it's going to pay out 2.67. Sure. I think we can get there. I don't love it, but got to find a bet for you guys there. It does feel like we're forcing that, just to make that clear. Then Akshay and Minwoo Lee. Akshay a little bit of a better bad win player there. So probably not targeting that one as well. Let's actually zoom out here. Let's take the edge off and let's just take a peek at where we're getting the best bets. It's still Matt Kuchar and then Siwoo Kim. You're not losing too much with Siwoo Kim, 7%. An interesting one, Rico Hoey over Jasper Svensson. Not a big difference there. And then an interesting spot as well, Cameron Young over Carson Young. I thought this one was kind of interesting there, guys. So it's probably the one I want to get to the most. Cameron Young. We'll do that. Cameron Young over Carson Young. The battle for the Youngs. We'll do that. That'll be the bet of the day for the three-way bets, okay? And then real quickly, we're going to go ahead and jump into the head-to-head bets. All right, so jumping into some head-to-head bets here, guys. We are seeing Robert McIntyre to beat Jordan Spieth in this one, okay? Actually pretty favorited there, but still a pretty good edge there. Jaeger over Alex Smalley, and we just kind of went over the struggles that Alex Smalley has had. Jaeger in my head is typically a good bad weather specialist. So yeah, if we look at this slightly favoriting Jaeger over Alex Smalley there, not as much as I would have thought, but interesting there. And we'll toss in Robert McIntyre and Jordan Spieth into this mix as well. I do kind of like the head-to-head bets a little bit better when we're having to force in three-way bets instead of three-ball bets, just as an FYI. So not as big of a difference there in general between Jordan and also Robert McIntyre. To me, I'm reading this as more of a toss-up. But those are really the only two decent bets that we are getting, guys. So honestly, probably just going Jaeger. Probably just going Jaeger over Alex Smalley. It's the only one I really want to get to there. So one three-way bet, one head-to-head bet there for you guys. Again, Jaeger over Alex Smalley. So we're going to go ahead here and jump into some prop bets. So guys, I'm actually pretty surprised here at the lack of big prop line differences that we're getting between PrizePicks and Underdog. Okay, so not too many. We have 3 right now on the board. Now, that's probably going to change throughout the day, but obviously this is going to be a day in which we want to be betting based off of the weather. The one interesting thing here as well, based off of the bets that we were getting, not many big edges. Okay, all the bets are basically like 51% likelihood to hit or not to hit, and so that's kind of an issue that I would say we have on this slate, is that really on paper right now we're not getting any big edges. I do want to go ahead and get back into these bets, the 3 prop line differences. Let's take a peek at betr and seeing if we're getting any stacking opportunities there, and we're not. They're purposely probably not giving us those bets on betr, but really, guys, the strategy with betr I think would be kind of load up on some more bets, especially with those golfers that have the later tee times. And so like Scotty Scheffler, I think he's going to shoot higher than 70.5 if that wind does end up playing more difficult. And I think that's the way we want to go about attacking. So are there any other golfers that we could get to for higher than that? Not really, actually, but maybe the board develops throughout the day a little bit more. Maybe we've got Alex Smalley, who's someone that obviously could struggle in that win. Maybe Ming Lee as well. Harris English, like we could blindly stack that. But also what you could do is maybe find some of these golfers that in the morning tee time could end up doing much easier than they're projected to do, because the course is going to play slightly easier there. And so really what we could do is like Saeed under his strokes there. He has a slight early AM, maybe Danny McCarthy as well, who has a little bit of an earlier AM tee time. Keegan Bradley, I don't want to touch there. Sanjay M potentially there. Tom Kim potentially there. We're betting more on the early AM tee times. Again, the reason you do that on betr is to do a flex slip where they're going to pay out a little bit better than what PrizePicks or Underdog was if you guys are choosing to stack that. Now, if you're not choosing to stack that, and guys, actually we're getting basically the same prop bets for Underdog as we would for PrizePicks as I'm recording this video. That could be adjusting, so no real reason to get into that. Again, I'm probably just not going to force any bets right now to give you guys a bet of the day, but do want to reiterate, like, this is a spot here specifically attacking maybe tee times where later on in the day could play more difficult. So what you could do is do less birdies or better for like Carson Young, Billy Horschel, Jake Knapp, Akshay, like all these golfers. And this I think is actually going to be the way that I probably want to attack, is just loading up on these bets right here and betting less than for those golfers that have the later tee times. And then those golfers that maybe have earlier tee times, maybe we could go ahead and do more and just bet on how the course is going to play, but obviously chase the more likely side of that. Now that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. That does help out a lot. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Hopefully you guys do have a good round 3 showdown and round 3 bets. Hopefully you guys had a good cut sweat. I have a decent amount of lineups going that could be good. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting weekend, you know, with the weather. Don't want to get too crazy in terms of the expectations, but could be it will be a fun to watch weekend with all the big names that are up there. But good luck, guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's keep cashing.